Hi again, everybody. We are here for another group presentation. This is Shiloh, and she's going to be talking about the next topic. So I'll just go ahead and turn it on over to you, Shiloh. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. This is EMTALA. It's Myra Casillas and Shiloh Anderson presentation. Next slide, please. What is EMTALA? It is enacted by Congress in 1986 as part of the Consolidated Numbus Budget Reconciliation Act, also known as COBRA, of 1985. Its original intent and goals are consistent with the mission of AACEP and the public trust held by emergency physicians.
Matthew, call 411.
Next slide,
Matthew,
please.
call 411, please.
It is referred to as the anti-dumping law. It was designed to prevent hospitals from transferring uninsured or Medicaid patients to public hospitals without a minimum providing a medical screening examination to ensure that they were stable for transfer. As a result, to local and state government began to abdicate responsibility for charity care, shifting this public responsibility to all hospitals. EMTALA became the de facto national health care policy for the uninsured. Congress in 2000 made the EMTALA enforcement a priority, with penalties for more than 1.17 million, nearly as much as in the first 10 years, about 1.8 million of, combined U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General between October 1st, 2005 and March 31st, 2006. 345,000 in fines were collected from 12 hospitals and 1 physician. Next slide, please. The EMTALA requires Medicare participating hospitals with emergency departments to screen and treat the emergency medical conditions of patients in a non-discriminatory manner to anyone, regardless of their ability to pay insurance status, national origin, race, creed, or color. A technical advisory group was convened in 2005 by the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, to study EMTALA. The advisory group focused on the incremental modifications to EMTALA, but also envisioned a fundamental rethinking of EMTALA that would support development of regional size emergency systems. A new EMTALA would continue to protect patients from discrimination in treatment while enabling the encouraging communities to test innovations in emergencies care system designed, for example, direct transport of patients to non-acute care facilities such as dialysis centers and ambulatory care clinics when appropriate. The Institute of Medicine in 2006 recommended that the Department of Health and Human Sources adopt regularity changes to EMTALA, the Health Insurance Prohibition and Accountability Act, HIPAA. So the original goals of the law are persevered by integrated systems by further development. Next slide. How does EMTALA define an emergency? Well, an emergency medical condition is defined as a condition manifesting itself by acute symptoms of sufficient severity, including severe pain, such that the absence of immediate medical attention could reasonably be expected to result in placing the individual's health, such as an unborn child, in serious jeopardy, serious impairment to bodily functions, or serious dysfunction of body organs. For example, a pregnant woman with an emergency condition must be treated until delivery is complete, unless a transfer under the status is appropriate. Next slide, please. What is the EMTALA scope? According to the law, EMTALA applies when an individual comes to emergency department. CMS defines a dedicated emergency department as a specially equipped and staffed area of the hospital used a significant portion of the time to initial evaluation and treatment of outpatients for emergency medical conditions. This means, for example, that hospital-based outpatient clinics not equipped to handle medical emergencies are not obligated under EMTALA and can simply refer patients to a nearby emergency department for care. Next slide, please. What are the provisions of EMTALA? Hospitals have three main obligations under EMTALA. Is individuals who come and request must receive a medical screening examination to determine whether an emergency medical condition exists. Examination, the treatment cannot be delayed, or inquire about methods of payment or insurance coverage. Emergency departments also must post signs and notify patients and visitors of their rights to a medical screening examination and treatment. If an emergency medical condition exists, treatment must be provided until the emergency medical condition is resolved or stabilized. Hospitals with special capabilities are obligated to accept transfers from hospitals who lack the capability to treat unstable emergency medical conditions. Also, hospitals must report to CMS or the state survey agency anytime it has reason to believe it may have received an individual who has been transferred in an unstable emergency medical condition from another hospital in violation of EMTALA. Next slide, please. What are the provisions for pregnant women in active labor? Note that the determination of whether a woman in labor falls under the definition of emergency medical condition is determined by consideration of time factors, whether there is adequate time to effect a safer transfer to another hospital for delivery. Do all patients in active labor need to be admitted? It is common for patients to present with false labor or in the very early stages of true active labor. And certainly it is not necessary to admit all such patients. It clearly requires an examination to determine the stage of labor in order to make the determination of whether the patient has reached the level at which a safer transfer cannot be effectuated. If the patient is at the stage at which a transfer could be arranged, she can be discharged without violation. This can be one of the most problematic areas of application of the language of EMTALI. Next slide, please. What are the requirements for transferring patients under EMTALI? Governs how patients are transferred from one hospital to another. Under the law, a patient is considered stable for transfer if the treating physician determines that no material deterioration will occur during the transfer between facilities. Next slide, please. EMTALA does not apply to the transfer of stable patients. However, if the patient is unstable, then the hospital may not transfer the patient unless a physician certifies the medical benefits expected from the transfer outweigh the risks, or a patient makes a transfer request in writing after being informed of the hospital's obligations under EMTALA and the risk of transfer. An additional for the transfer of unstable patients must be appropriate under the law, such as 1, the transferring hospital must provide ongoing care within a capability until transfer is minimized transfer risks. 2, provided copies of medical records. 3, must confirm that the receiving facility has space and qualified personnel to treat the condition and has agreed to accept the transfer. And 4, the transfer must be made with qualified personnel and appropriate medical equipment. Next slide. What are the penalties for violating EMTALI? Both CMS and the OIG have administrative enforcement powers with regard to EMTALI violations. There is a 2-year institute of limitations for civil enforcement of any violation. Penalties may include termination of the hospital or physician's Medicare provide agreement, hospital fines up to $5,000 for violation, $25,000 for a hospital with fewer than 100 beds. Physicians fine $50,000 more per violation, including on-call physicians. The hospital may be sued for personal injury in civil court under a private cause of action. A receiving facility having suffered financial loss as a result of another hospital's violation of EMTALA can bring suit to recover damages. Next slide, please. Who pays for EMTALA related medical care? Ultimately, we do places the greatest responsibility on hospitals and emergency physicians to provide this health care safety net and shouldered the financial burden of providing EMT-ALA related Medicare. According to a May 2003 American Medical Association study, emergency physicians on average provide, oh my gosh, 138,300 of EMT-ALA related charity care each year, and 1/3 of emergency physicians provide more than 30 hours of EMT-ALA related care each week. Physicians and other specialties provide an average about 6 hours a week of care medicated by and on average incurred about $25,000 of EMT-ALA related bad debt in 2001. Next slide, please. Some health insurances plans deny claims for legitimate emergency departments visits based on a patient's final diagnosis rather than the presenting symptoms when chest pains turn out not to be a heart attack. Some also attempt to require pre-authorization before a patient can seek emergency medical care, resulting in denied payment. It is managed care practices endangered the health of patients and threatened to undermine the emergency care system by failing to financially support America's healthcare safety net. ACEP advocates for a national prudent layperson emergency care standard that provides coverage based on a patient's presenting symptoms rather than the final diagnosis, and additional health that insurers should cover EMT-ALA related services up to the point an emergency medical condition can be ruled out or resolved. Next slide, please. References. Pretty explanatory. Thanks.
Yeah. Is that it, Shiloh?
Yeah.
All right, that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
It's a lot to do on your own. Very good job.
Thanks.
I will not put you through more. I don't have any questions for you. Very good job with the presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you for doing this and getting it done. Anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, thanks.
Okay, thanks everybody. I'll just go ahead and stop broadcasting here. Okay, Shiloh?
Thank you.